And welcome to our special guest. I am so excited to have this guest today. She's all smiling. Our Patreon people can see her. The people who are listening, you have to join Patreon so you can see how beautiful she is and how she's smiling. And we're all excited to see each other and talk. But first of all, welcome, Tosh. Please say hello so people can
Thank
hear
you.
your voice.
I am so excited to be here and have this conversation. It's going to be
I am
juicy.
too. It's gonna be juicy.
Yes.
I think it's gonna be a little juicy today. And that's why I'm like, But before we get into all the juiciness, I'm gonna read something to you. I'm gonna read about you. And so
Ooh.
I know
Mm.
you are gonna tell us a little bit more about yourself, but I like to kind of read a little bit for the guests to kind of feel a little bit more of what you do. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So I'm gonna read this. All right. So Tosh helps women unapologetically create a life that's dripping with pleasure. She hosts in person retreats and teaches a three-step framework to awaken more pleasure in every area of life. Tosh is a certified erotic blueprint coach, as seen on Netflix's Sex, Love, and Goop. So if y'all haven't watched that to know what erotic blueprint is, you need to. Plus, she authored The Path to Pleasure, a Black woman's guide to healing her inner goddess, igniting her spirit, and awakening her pleasure, which is available on Amazon. Finally, Tosh teaches high achieving women tools and strategies to reduce stress and simplify life. The result? More time, more freedom, more space for guilt free pleasure. How yummy! How yummy
That sounds
was that?
wonderful.
I was just going to ask you, how did that feel hearing that about what you do?
I'm like, wow, I'm the shit.
You are the shit.
Go ahead on, sis.
You are. I mean, when I read that, and I want the listeners to know, Tosh did not give that to me to say. She did not say, Kenya, I want you to say dripping with. I look on, I do a little research, kind of see kind of how people are showing up in the world online. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God, yes, this is exactly what she does. This is exactly what she does. So clearly, yes, you're a certified life and pleasure coach. But if you could tell what I did not talk about is what in the heck got you in that direction? What got you there?
Oh my goodness. I'm like, the story is so big.
Yeah.
And, I'll share the highlights. But before I do that, I just want to say sometimes when people share their stories, we only hear all the big movements and the milestones and the highlights.
Mm,
We don't hear all the down in the valley, the pain, the struggle, the doubt, the
mm,
the not wins, right? And
mhm,
so just reminding people that in this human journey, we have the ups and the downs, and you're
mm.
hearing the condensed version, the consolidated version of a very tipsy turvy story.
Ooh, mm,
Um, but what got me here was basically I I was following the script, and I
mm.
think a lot of women do that, and I call it following the success script, where go to college, you get a job, you have a relationship, maybe you buy a house, you buy all the things, you have the car, you have the bags, you have the shoes, the clothes, check, 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 right? You're checking off all those things on the list, and you look around, or let me speak for myself. I looked around and I said, so is this it?
Mm,
Like, I did everything society said I was supposed to do to be happy. I got an education. I got a master's degree. I got a job. I advanced quickly and got 3 promotions by the time I was
mm.
like 32.
Wow.
Like, I did all the things I was quote unquote supposed to do to be happy. And I
Yeah.
bought all the things I was supposed to have to be happy. And at the end of all that consumption, I was not happy.
Mm,
And so what happened was I actually got really sick, and
mhm,
I was not sure what was happening to me. And I was having all these doctor's appointments. And for about a year and a half, they could not figure out what was wrong with me. So
mm,
I finally stumbled on the doctor who said, you might just be really stressed. And all of this stress is accumulating in your body So my recommendation is that you just take some time off work
Mm.
and just de-stress. And I was like,
What?
what what you talking about, Willis? Like, this is, I've been to doctors, I've been poked and prodded and CAT scanned and da 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 da,
Oh.
and on the edge of, oh my goodness, I really could die because I have no
Mm.
idea what's wrong with me. No idea at all. And I'm having these extreme things going on in my body.
Mm.
And that pushed me to really be like, okay, well, what's important?
Mm.
What's important? And that in and of itself started me down this path to pleasure.
Wow. Tosh, I just want you to keep talking because what you listen, what you are saying, and I know that particularly every Black woman, and I think probably most women in general, but particularly every Black woman who is listening to you say what you just said
Mhm.
is saying amen, is saying uh-huh, is nodding, is swaying, because this is so common of a story.
Yes.
So common of a story. Which is, why I wanted you to come on the podcast, because I think you're showing another side of the story, how you take that challenge and make it work for you. And maybe not even know, did you know once you started this path of trying to figure out, okay, what the heck is going on with my body, or go rest. Okay, now I'm going to rest. Is that when it got revealed to you? Wait a minute, I need to teach this more to other women?
No, because honestly,
Mm,
to yeah, complete and total honesty and transparency, I was trying to live.
mm,
I mean, I was like, what is this? What do I need to do? If I die next week, next year, next month, this house, these clothes,
yeah.
so what? Who cares? This title, who cares? It was like an extreme death of the ego.
Wow. I
And
love that.
I was in
Mm,
that for about 4 or 5 years,
mm,
learning how to simplify my calendar, learning how to simplify the physical things in my life, learning how to prioritize myself, being unapologetic about, yes, I'm a senior executive leader in this organization, but at 5 p.m., I leave.
okay.
So I have an alarm that goes off at 4:20. So
That
I
means
pack
get
my
myself
stuff.
ready. Yes.
At 4:30, I walk to the garage and I'm in my
Look
car
at
by
you.
5. So
Wow.
it was really
Yeah.
about me figuring out like how to survive. And I was learning and reading and applying the strategies to my life. And
Mm.
after doing it for a while, people would be like, so how you do that? What's going
Right.
on here? And so
Right.
then I started to realize, oh, I have something here that other women are looking for. They just haven't been this dark night of the soul moment of
Mm.
realizing that these could be your last days.
Yeah. So, and I was just going to ask you, how did you know to make those kind of boundaries? Because basically, what you just described, is about being incredibly intentional about your boundary making. And you said that you started reading and so forth. Was it more just that? Did you actually get some help? Did somebody step in and start mentoring you or coaching or counseling you a certain way as well?
You know what? I really wish that I had a mentor during that time, but I really did not. I have always been like a self-help book guru girl.
Mm,
I will
mhm,
read a book in a day. Like, I am a bookworm. I love consuming and learning. And so
mhm,
really it was, I had absolutely no guidance. And I really didn't
mm,
tell a lot of people what was going on because I didn't really have an answer. So people would be like,
mm.
oh, well, what's happening in this? And it was causing me more stress. So I retreated and I said, I need to navigate this on my own. And so, really, what happened was um, when I was that sick and I was getting this advice to like pull back and be as simple as possible and don't overexert myself. I said, okay, how can I make time? Like, my schedule is packed. I have
Mhm.
back to back meetings. I have to commute both ways, all the things that
All
working
the
women
things.
deal with,
I was
right?
about to say, girl, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm like, yes, keep
Like,
going. Yes.
everybody's dealing with it, right? And so
Yeah.
I was like, well,
Yeah.
how can I fit in my self care? Like, they say self care is important. This doctor's telling me self care is important. How do I do it? without disrupting my performance at work. And so I
Mm,
realized that I needed to simplify my wardrobe and my morning routine so that I could
mm.
find 30 minutes to self care, whatever that meant at the time, right?
Right, right.
And so I literally was reading all these articles and I stumbled on someone that was talking about having a capsule wardrobe where you have a very simple wardrobe. And
Yep.
I was so intrigued. And I'm not exaggerating when I say to you, my simplification journey started with decluttering my closet because I had like 3 closets in my house and a
Mhm.
walk-in closet. And okay, so I'm raising my hand with everyone else to say I had so many clothes. And so I said, well, how can I just pick out my favorite outfits? I'll go in, grab those, and then go on about my day. And simplifying my closet actually then spiraled into cleaning out the kitchen, cleaning out the basement, cleaning out my car. And I learned all of those things on my own. I did not have
Mm,
any guidance. I was just, consuming, grasping, looking for what can help me? What's going to make a
right.
difference?
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, you were really hungry for it. And, I know personally you have a counseling background, correct? Like you
Yeah.
have been trained in that. So I think not to say that, because listen, I have a counseling background, but I definitely have someone that helps me. But I do think having that background helps you really recognize the importance of tools,
Yeah.
strategies, help, support, figure out whether you're getting it from someone or someone, or you're finding it within books or self-help books. And I hope, every listener is recognizing, if you're not necessarily wired to be that bookworm or to find those things, you may need to seek someone to help you, which is going to segue us a little into the fact that you are now doing life coaching and this sensual coaching. But, and I want to really, I'm going to dig into the sensual coaching, but you are not at that same job anymore.
Yes.
You have a very, very inspiring to me lifestyle now. And so maybe if you could share with our listeners, because girl, we could be here 2 hours. And I'm looking at, I'm like, because
Looking at the clock like
I
we got
want to
to
know
speed
every
it
minute. I'm like, so when you cleaned your kitchen, what did you do? That's where I'm at. Because I'm like, okay, I'm
Yes.
gonna clean my closet, get my capsule wardrobe, then clean my kitchen. No, so but I wanna, because the way you're living your life right now is so massive to me. So if you could just share how are you living? Just let us know, how are you living your life? What is your lifestyle now? What is your work life? Where are you at?
Yes. So before I answer that question, I do
Mhm.
want to add, though, that towards the end of my journey, after I was consuming and finding content on my own, and I eventually did take a medical leave of absence, and I
Mm,
did get a counselor, and I had an entire wellness team supporting me. So I had a
awesome.
nutritionist, had a therapist, and I ended up needing to take meds because I was
Mhm.
in a low grade anxiety, depression because of what was
Yeah.
going on. So I
Yeah.
did know the point at which I needed help.
Yeah.
So I
Thank you
do
for
want to
adding that.
underscore
That's
that.
really
Yeah.
important. Yeah, and especially
Yeah.
the part that you just said as far as having a whole wellness team, which is a
Yes.
language that I've been using more and more with people, is start identifying your wellness team
Yeah.
as opposed to just going to the doctor, to the
Right.
MD. So
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as a result of having that type of support, I got clear about what my priorities were. I had some really honest conversations with my husband. Like, we just kind of rolled up our sleeves and got down into, the particulars. And
Mhm.
what happened from that was we decided to sell our big house that we had, like that whole success in DC to income, da, da, da. It was like, this is just our ego. Like, we did all this for ego.
Girl,
So
girl.
we can let this go because it's not even in alignment with the lifestyle we want to live. So we
Mm.
downsized our house.
Mhm.
And after downsizing our house, we lived in a smaller space for a couple years. And then we started saying, well, where do we want to be in the future? Like, what does this look like? And so we kept that alive, that conversation alive.
Mm.
And we made an agreement that we would travel once a year for 30-day periods to
Ooh.
explore a new place. And fast forward, and then 2020 happened, and I had been wanting to move abroad for a long time, but when 2020 happened, my husband came downstairs one day and said, "We got to get out of here." Like, especially after the George Floyd thing and all
Yeah.
the, culmination of all those events. And so I was like, "Get out of here. Stop playing with me." Like, I've been trying to get out of here for like 7 years. And you've been like, "No, no, no. We got to keep the house. And what about the..."
Yeah,
And he said,
yeah.
"Things have changed. Things have changed.
Mm,
Let's figure it out." And so we said, "Okay, let's figure it out." We gave ourselves a year
mhm,
and we declared that we were leaving the country in 1 year. We did our
mm.
research. We visited a couple places, and we ended up selling it all. House, well, selling it all: cars, clothes, all of that stuff.
You
And
sold the cars. You
we sold
s
the cars, the clothes, the furniture,
girl,
everything. Don't nobody,
girl.
ain't nobody, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, when I say
Ye
it really doesn't matter, and
yeah.
that was the bridge for us to move to Mexico, where we currently live. And,
Mhm.
my lifestyle is one where I'm a 15-minute walk from the beach,
Mm.
and I eat fresh fruits and vegetables every day. I get to bask in the rooftop, which has a beautiful view of the ocean. Um, I usually
Everything's
get...
okay, I gotta say this. So you and I have talked, all right? So just so
Yes.
listener, I have heard this story and I'm still listening like, "Girl." Like, it's the first time I've heard it. That's how inspiring it is to hear you say that. Like, you every time you say it, I hear something closer to
Mm,
what I desire.
mhm.
So, it's just yummy, but keep going. You on the rooftop looking at the ocean.
Yes, and honestly,
Oh,
I usually get a couple massages a week at the
girl,
house. At the
girl,
house, I don't go to them, they come
girl,
to me. And
girl.
here's the thing, I just want everybody listening to hear that it's available to you. So if you say it's available to you, it's available to you, but, like, what are you willing to let go of? So I was
Mm,
clenched. My husband and I both were so clenched to the looks of what we chase, the American dream,
mhm.
and it was limiting the other options. And so once we said we can let that go, like, it's not even in alignment with who we are anymore. We
Right,
can let that go and
right.
pursue something else. And when I tell you my quality of life is just so much better here,
Mm,
I can't even, like, quantify or fully explain how much better it is. Now, did I do some of the things in the US where I got massages, or I did, brunches with friends and stuff? I
mhm,
did, but
mhm.
it was just, it was more financially exhausting.
Yeah.
And, I, yeah.
Girl. Okay, so it's so funny because I give you guys questions ahead of time, and I'm like, "Nah, see, I know I told you ahead that we were not gonna be sticking to the script because I knew you were gonna say so many things that are so powerful and so timely right now, so timely." You guys, you mentioned you and your husband, COVID hit, and that's when your husband was like, so I wanna talk about hubby for a minute. Now, I wasn't gonna bring
Yes.
hubby, and we're not gonna talk a lot because he ain't here to defend himself, but
Okay. Okay.
I think having a partner who you're able to be on the same page with these really big lifestyle I mean, massive lifestyle shifts is I mean, I imagine that that's amazing. Is what would you say to the person who maybe doesn't have the partner? Let's say they're in partnership, but they don't necessarily have the partner that could make that type of shift. How should they receive hearing this? Or is there anything you could suggest that maybe the partner would listen more?
To be honest, I really think that we rolled up our sleeves and we just kept doing the work and having the
Mhm,
conversations. And so,
mm.
again, like 7 years ago, I wanted to do what we're doing now. He just wasn't ready.
Wasn't
He
ready.
he
Right.
didn't see it. He thought I was crazy. He was like, "I don't even understand why we would sell it all and move abroad." Like, it was
Yeah.
just out of his comprehension. And so, I kept it alive because it was important to me. And I just kept
Right.
saying, well, if we can't live abroad because you're not ready for that, what can we do? Well, we can vacation a couple times a year. And then after that, we started saying, well, maybe we could stay longer periods. So we could stay 2 weeks. And then it became, well, let's stay 30 days. But
Yeah.
what do we need to do in our lives to make that possible?
Mhm.
what do we need to set up? And so it
Mhm.
was this constant conversation. Like I wasn't willing to let it go. And so what some people do is they say, well, it's this way or no way.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was just like, I just want to have the experience. What could it look like inside the lives that we lead? So
Mm,
I think that's the key for anyone who's listening and they want to do something really big, but their partner isn't on board. Keep reframing it. Keep
mm.
figuring out how can we have it now, not a one day, someday out there, but
Yeah,
what aspect of it could we have today in
yeah.
the lives that we have today, in the
Today.
relationship that we have today.
Today, right. And that's a hard thing to sit in the relationship today with the understanding of goals and still keeping your eye on the prize, but living in the moment, and
Yeah.
still making things, making a lifestyle that you're not constantly needing to escape from. Like, how
Hmm.
can we start doing some small things? And then when we have the opportunity to do something on a larger scale, it's there. But I love that because really what you did was you stood in your voice, you stood in yourself. You didn't make him necessarily, it doesn't sound like you made him feel lesser as it, but you just stay true to you in that, still while
Yeah.
being partnership. Huge. Well, I'm gonna okay. So as I said, we could stay in that space a long time because now I'm like, well, I want to talk about Mexico. No, we're not gonna talk about Mexico. Although we'll have to do like a part two or something because I do think this idea of people living abroad, as especially people of color living abroad, is a really important conversation to also have nowadays. But I want to get into the sensual coaching and
Yes.
pleasure. All right, all right,
Ooh.
all right, all right. So, what in the world for the person that's like, what does that mean? Like, she try to help people have sex, or because the moment we hear sensual, oh, we must be in the bed. We got to
Right.
be in the bed.
Right. Right.
So, maybe explain what is sensual coaching. What is that practice, and how do you facilitate that?
So really, I come from a place of believing that our lives should be pleasure filled. Like
Mm,
it's important to operate from a place of I want to do this, not I should do this.
mm,
And
mhm,
so for a long time, myself included, and I see a lot of friends and women around me being like, well, I should do this and I should do that and I should go here and I ought to. And, my pleasure coaching is really around figuring out what feels good to you now,
mm.
not what you promised to do 2 weeks ago, what you promised to do in the future, but what feels good now. And really, so the umbrella is pleasure. And
Gotcha.
then
So I
once you
said sensual. So I was trying to throw us in there, but pleasure. So pleasure coaching.
pleasure coaching.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
then we start looking at different areas of life. So for some
Mhm,
people, they want to focus on how can I make my everyday life more pleasurable, more
mm,
exciting, more satisfying, more tranquil. How can I do that? And then for
mhm,
other people, they may come and say, I'm having this issue around my sexuality, my femininity. I feel like I'm very masculine all the time. Like, how can
mm.
I tune back into that feminine part of myself? So it's really identifying for each person, like, where are you on the spectrum of pleasure, and which area is lacking? Like, where do you want to like juice it up a little bit?
Yeah.
And I don't believe in a one thing fits everyone approach. I really have to work with the individual and figure out what does this mean for you,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
let's create practices, rituals, behaviors that are going to support you having a pleasure filled life. You feeling like you don't have to be apologizing for taking a nap on Saturday.
Okay.
You don't have to feel guilty for not going to
Mm,
so and so's graduation,
mm,
whatever. You don't have to
mhm,
feel guilty about taking vacation time, but you still working on the side. Like, let's unpack some of that, like what's there, and really
mhm,
helping people figure out how can you be unapologetic about
mm,
prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your needs. And as women, we often acquiesce to the needs of others. So what do
mhm.
my kids need? What does my partner need? What does my team need to stay motivated? What does everybody else
Else
need?
need. Mhm.
And you're not on the list, right? So the
Right.
pleasure coaching is about bringing you to the top of the list, prioritizing you every day, and getting
Mm,
clear on what that means in your life right now. Because if you're a single parent, that looks different than maybe when you
mm,
were a partnered parent. It looks different when you're 25 and you're climbing the corporate ladder, if that's what you're doing,
right.
versus where you may be in your life now. So it's, really helping people see, like, where am I on this journey? Because maybe I'm 50 and I'm
Mhm.
holding myself to 25-year-old expectations that
Come
are
on
not
now.
even realistic anymore.
Yes, yes. I
You
think
know?
that happens a lot because
Yeah.
our brain, and this is why we have to be really careful about age. And while I name this podcast After 40, and we bring in guests who are, after 40, and I don't worry, I'm not going to ask you how old you are. We just know you're after 40. Um, but I think, we have to remember though that time is a bit of an illusion. Like it's these kind of markers we use for ego and for human to kind of mark and kind of keep track per se. But a lot of what happens, I think why people do go back to their 25-year-old self setting up these goals of lifestyle is because time really isn't really, a lot of we kind of are, we are and we're not. The 25-year-old self doesn't necessarily just fade away per se. And I think
Hmm.
also what happens is that 25 was that what you understood maybe as that vibrant, and it's constantly being reinforced in mainstream society that
Right.
25 and
Right.
30, or 28 is the thing.
Hmm.
So we keep clinging on to the notion, but like you said, we're not that. And so it's now going to look different. And
Hmm.
it's not only okay, but to me it's urgent. Like it's
Yeah.
let the difference come.
Yeah. And I was actually just talking to somebody about this the other day and saying you need to be more compassionate with yourself, because it's not even a realistic expect the what she was sharing with me. I was
Mhm.
like, those aren't even realistic expectations based on your life today.
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know and
Exactly.
it's and one of the things that we all do is get attached to things being a certain way, or we get attached to, well, I said I was going to do this, I said I was going to do that, instead of being like, you know what, that doesn't work for me anymore. I either need
Right.
to make a new commitment or just remove it altogether.
Mm,
And we get so planted in an idea or a concept that we don't allow ourselves to make a new choice. And it's okay to make a new choice. It's okay to make a new commitment. It's okay to renegotiate and say, well, I said I was going to do this, but I can't, but I can do this.
right.
Does that
Right.
work for you? Right.
Right.
But we just
Right.
get so attached to the one thing we originally agreed to. And
Mhm.
that doesn't serve you in the long run.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And I think, it's so important to that attachment piece, what you're saying is so huge. And I think this is what becomes really helpful when you are able to get a wellness team or a counselor or somebody to help you work through those things we get attached to and why, so that we
Yeah.
can begin to release and free ourselves from those attachments, and not get caught up in that weird cycle of
Mhm.
guilt and then just keep doing it again because I felt guilty if I didn't do it. So then I did it again, but I know I didn't want to do it.
Right.
That really, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And real quick,
gosh.
the other thing I want
Yeah.
to say to that, one of the things is we as women, we train ourselves to do things physically that we don't want to do. So for
Mm.
example, oh well, go ahead on and finish up partner person.
Yes.
Like,
Right, right.
I'm not really in the mood, but let me do that, right? And so we train our bodies to do things we don't want to do, which also disconnects us from ourselves. And there are a
Mm,
lot of women wrapped up in that pattern. So part of what the pleasure coaching is and the sensuality is reconnecting to your body and feeling what feels good in your body.
absolutely.
And
As
and
opposed to
sometimes,
what you've been trained to think you should be giving somebody else in
right.
their pleasure. Yeah.
Right, right. And then the other thing is we push our bodies through exhaustion. Like, I feel so tired.
Mm.
Girl, go take a nap. Like, what, give me a break already, right? So we haven't listened to our bodies enough. And
Mm.
that's part of what we have to also relearn, is trusting when you have that gut feeling, when you get that bolt of energy in your left arm, like, just trust it. The body is wise, and we have been trained to disconnect from it, but we
Yeah.
we need to reconnect to it. in so many ways.
Absolutely.
It's not just the sexual piece. It's in life. The body is telling us and giving us clues. And that's one of the
Absolutely.
things I learned as a result of being sick as well. Like start
Mm.
listening to my body. It's
Mhm.
always talking to me.
It's always talking to you. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how fast time is going. We okay, so we are going to begin to wrap up, but I want to say if all of this conversation is resonating with you, I'm going to have Tosh share in a moment how you can potentially use some of her services. I know that Tosh and I have been talking about collaborating so that those of you who are part of the Finding Your Voice community, the health and wellness community, whether you're subscribers to our different Patreon levels where you get self-care, or you're just been following and want to get some of that, we're working on bringing her to be able to talk more about actually working through a lot of what you just said in terms of that
Mhm.
attachment piece. So, but we are going to have to wrap up. And so I have two more very quick questions, and then we're going to go
Yes.
on to our bonus. So, y'all want some more from Tosh? You need to go to Patreon so that you can hear more. But my two remaining things: what are you looking forward to the most right now at this stage of your life?
Mm.
Because you got some good stuff. I don't know. I've had people say in the interviews, "Listen, I'm where I wanted to be. I don't have that more to look forward to." But do you have any more that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so this hopefully won't sound too like out there, but I'm looking forward to trusting life more
Mm,
and really falling into this knowing that I will always be provided for and protected.
mm,
So, I come from a very strategic masculine approach to life because I was checking everything off.
yeah.
And so now I'm in the stage of like really wanting to fall even deeper into I may not know how I'm going to get from here to there, but my intention is to get there.
Mm,
And I don't have to lift all the rocks to get to the
come
other
on.
side.
Come
And
on.
that's me living more in my feminine energy, right?
Yes.
So I can reach across the table and grab the salt shaker, or I could say, Kenya, pass me the salt.
Ca-
Either way, I still have the salt,
You have
right?
the salt.
So I want to step into trusting that life is conspiring in my behalf. I can
Mm,
have what I want, and it doesn't have to be struggle and force and push. It can be ease and flow and just happenstance and all of those things. And
come
so
on.
I want to fall more open into that for this
Yes.
next stage of my life.
Oh my goodness. That was like poetry, Tosh. And it really was. And literally today I pull oracle cards every morning. That's a part of my self-care and the nurturing that I do. And it was that very thing you just said. You do not have to go chase. It's
Mhm.
literally said, don't chase. It was divine abundance, is what the card
Mm.
said. And in the description, it said, it's yours already. You don't need to chase it. So just be in it, be in the spirit of it. So I love that. Okay, last question.
Yes.
What is your theme song? What is a song? Because I'm an artist and music, we got a playlist that we're putting together. What is a song that just motivates you, makes you feel good? And it could be the theme song of the day, or if there's a general one that you just really feel good. What would that be?
Oh my goodness. So I have this artist. He's not. I don't think he's very well known. He's an independent artist called Londrell. Have you heard of him?
Londrell, you got me, and I'm pretty good usually with. No, I don't think I know Londrell.
I
Okay,
really like him. It's Londrelle,
okay.
and he has a song called Asana, and it's just basically I
Mm.
wake up in the morning and I meditate, say a
Mm.
prayer and take my life away. Like it's a really good song. He has that song, and then the other song that I love is called Vibrate Higher.
Nice. Nice. All
And
right.
I
I'm gonna
love
check out
those.
both. I'm gonna check out Londrell because I don't. That is not an artist I know.
Yes.
I love it. That's why I asked that question. Well, this has been amazing, and I know, like, if y'all listen to this and couldn't resonate, I don't know where you've been. You've been under a rock. If you're over 40, or you're like, I don't know what it was beautiful, and I would love for you to share how people, if in fact social media is a thing you do, share any social media, and if not, just how can people get in touch with you?
The best way to reach me is to just come on over to toshpatterson.com. You can see what retreats are coming up, or if you're interested in working with me one on one, either to simplify your life or work on this whole pleasure umbrella.
Mm.
That is what I'm here to do, and I enjoy doing it so much.
Yes, go to her website, please, please. This gives you an excuse to get to Mexico potentially, like
Yes,
really seriously. I
yes.
know I'm finding my excuses, so please go and visit Tosh Patterson, Tosh Patterson, Patterson.com, and get in touch with her. And do you do any kind of like free consultations if a person just wants to, or they got to kind of give you a little something before talking?
Yeah, so just, you could reach out to me and we could figure out what you
Figure it out.
need.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's what I said. Don't create barriers, guys. Don't create barriers as to why you just go for it. Nobody has to know. It will be confidential. It's
right.
in your own discretion and all of that. So this is awesome. Well, you have been amazing. I knew this was going to be really good. We have to do part 2, 3, and 4
Yes, absolutely.
because I knew the time was going to fly. But we are going to dig into just a little bit more in our bonus. So those of you who are listening and not watching, if we want to hear some more from Tosh, hear some more advice from her, some more tips from her, then you got to join our patreon.com/finding your voice. And you can get all the goods. So for now, I'm going to say have a fantastic week to the listeners. And again, Tosh, thank you so much. You're going to hold tight, but I'm just saying bye for our public audience. But thank you
Yes.
again.
And thanks everyone for listening.
Awesome. All right, you guys take care. All right, to the bonus. Okay, so this is only going to be like 10, not even 10, probably like 5 minutes, not
Okay.
too long of our bonus. But yeah, what advice? And you kind of started giving a little bit to women, but if a woman is struggling to find her voice, and maybe not specific to what it is you do, but just in general, that person who's struggling with that a bit more, what are some things what advice would you give them?
I would offer an exercise that is so powerful. So, this exercise would be best if you could do it in a month's time.
Mm-hmm.
And every day for 1 week, you would set a timer for 5 minutes the first week, 10 minutes the second week, 15 minutes the third week, and then 20 minutes the fourth week.
Mm.
So, what you're doing is you take your non-dominant hand, put it on your heart, and then you take your dominant hand, put it over, and just close your eyes. And the
Mm.
timer's on, and you just
Mm.
ask yourself, what do I want?
Mm.
And just capture one thought. You grab your notebook, you have your notebook ready, and you write down what it is. You go back
And
and
do
you
it
say, what do
again.
I want? And you write it down. So in the first week, you do it every day for 5 minutes
Right.
and you write it down. It's not powerful if you don't write it down.
Okay. Okay.
And so every week you're increasing by 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the month, you will have spent time asking yourself, what do you want? You'll have your notes and you can see the themes. And so
Mm.
it may be a surprise to you what comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's happening is the timer gives you a time frame
Mm-hmm.
and the question is really direct
From the
and you
heart.
don't
Yeah.
from the heart, you
Mm-hmm.
connecting to you giving yourself permission to speak, your inner voice to come forward. And if you've been disconnected from your inner voice, it needs time and space to come forward because it's kind of hidden underneath other people's voices and social media and your partner or your kids or your work. It's buried.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
practice in and of itself will just give you permission to really to hear yourself.
Girl, I'm like, okay, I feel like I found my voice, but no, I think I'm gonna still do that activity.
It's so powerful. I mean,
It
like I
sounds
did it for a couple
powerful.
months and was surprised at the things that came forward.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure there's more, even so those of you who feel like you kind of have a grasp, I think this is an excellent activity to do to just see where else might be lingering or, that needs to be uncovered. I love that.
Hmm.
That was
Hmm.
beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
All right. My last question. My last question. What is something I did not ask you? And there's a lot I didn't ask that you wish I would have asked, or something that you want people to really know about you before we click off?
Oh, I think the thing that would be great to share
Mhm.
was about my own self care practice.
Mhm,
And
mhm. And
so,
I was like, well, she talked about some of that with the thing, but then I'm like, I gotta get over here. So yes, please.
like I said at the top, it's so much in a story, right, in the journey.
Mhm,
But what I really want to share is that I think it's so important when we're talking about self care that you have a daily practice where you just have 15 minutes of silence.
mm,
So what I would do is just set a timer for 15 minutes and just sit in silence and then focus on my breathing. And basically, what that helped me do was start to clear out the voices, because I
mm.
think part of not having your voice is that everybody else's voice is ringing loud in your head. And so you're acting from those voices, and it's
Absolutely.
inauthentic. It's inauthentic because it's not you.
Absolutely.
It's those voices layered over you. So if
Absolutely.
you can build a practice, a ritual where you sit in silence, and maybe 15 minutes is too much to start, but you could start with 5 minutes every day, like every
Mm.
single day. And if you don't have 5 minutes, then we need to talk about that. But but 5 minutes could be at lunch when you wake up. Just set a
Yeah.
timer and sit in silence for 5 minutes, and then go to 7, then go to 10, then go to 15. Everybody should have 15 minutes a day that they can sit in silence to reconnect with yourself. So
Absolutely.
that's the one aspect of self-care. And then I think you need a weekly ritual, something that you like
Mhm.
to do. So for me, I love taking baths, and that's the one thing I miss in Mexico. I don't have a bathtub.
Oh, you don't have a tub? Because I'm like, that's me. I'm in my tub several times a week.
I
It's
love
Oh my
it.
God. It's like, I don't know. It's almost we could go on and on about that, because for me, getting in that tub, literally, all anxiety goes away, all the
Yes.
buzz, all the chaos, all that it literally
Yes.
disappears. Yeah,
Yes. But
yeah.
I do think, everybody has their thing. So for some people, it's swimming, for some, it's running. Whatever
Mhm.
your thing is, just having the space to do it once a week and making that time for yourself, I think is so important. And it's also another way of finding your voice and
Yes,
you reconnecting to you.
yes.
So, for
Mhm.
me, that was a bath every week. And on Sundays, I would say to my husband, I'm not coming downstairs before noon. So don't be looking for me. Don't talk to
Right.
me. I'm just take care of you, sir.
Exact So we're gonna talk to the hubby next and say, how did you learn to be such a great hubby so she could have this space? Because being able to create space for your partner to do whatever they need to do for themselves is another gift. It is
Mhm.
really a gift that a partner can give that to you and still stay connected while giving you space to be
Yeah.
yourself. So, well, this has been, I knew it was going to be good. I
It was
knew
so
it was gonna be
good.
amazing. I knew it was gonna be amazing because the work you do is so special, and it's so, like I said, it's so timely right now.
Mhm.
We really have to invest in our self-care in a different way than we've understood, and so I think you do that beautifully. So
Oh, well, thank
that
you
is
for having me on
yes,
and letting me
yes.
share. And I cannot wait to kind of go some levels deeper as we have these other conversations in the future.
Oh, we're gonna have them. We are
Yes.
going to have them. And so thank you. And for our Patreon people who are watching this, you've heard the whole podcast. You can go back and watch and all the things. And again, make sure you get in touch with Tosh if you're feeling like you're really needing, if you want to hear more one-on-one from her or needing some more guidance. So that is all. We're gonna get ready to end this broadcast, but don't jump off. I'm just gonna end the recording. So thanks everybody for watching. All right.